Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, that should be good.
Shalom Israel. This is I.S.U.P.K Trinidad and Tobago. Again, this is I.S.U.P.K Sabbath service here in Trinidad and Tobago. Again, inviting all Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, to tune in to these live classes again here on a Saturday, and the weekly classes. Right? So.
Hey, Shalom Israel. I'm Christian Pastor Yakari. Today, we say I.M.A.D.I.M. Shalom to Israel. I.M.A.D.I.M. When you have the thumbs, right hand face the east. Psalm, which means a turn. So you know it's praying in Hebrew. Abanawa, Shemayim, Sadash, Ayah, Shamka, Yahweh, Lakafka, Taba'a, Zaka, Ayah, I.S.U.P.K, Baratazak, Kawa, Ayah, Hashemayim, Natan, Manawa, Yakam, Ka, Yawam, Masalakno, Kawatno, Masalakno, Kawatino, Mana'a, Kayanao, Manasayawam, Abo, Awashino, Mayan, Ra, Kaya, Laka, Amalako, Bahal, Tapara, Bahaibalam, Man.
In the English, our Father,
Our Father,
which art in heaven,
which art in heaven,
be thy name,
be thy name.
Yahweh,
Yahweh,
thy kingdom come,
kingdom come,
thy will be done
will be done
in earth
in earth
as it is in heaven.
as in heaven.
Give us this day
This
our
day
daily bread.
daily bread.
Forgive us our debts.
Forgive us our debts.
Forgive our debtors.
Forgive our
And lead
debtors.
us not
Lead us
into
not
temptation,
temptation,
but deliver us from evil.
deliver us from evil.
Thine is the
Thine
kingdom,
is the kingdom,
and the power,
and the power,
and the glory,
the glory
forever.
forever.
So be it.
They say you have cut the power, Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Hashem,
Hashem,
Yahweh Shai,
Shai,
Bashar,
Bashar,
Tananau, Akak, Akak,
Magal,
Kamanawo, Akak, Ataha, Zariah, Akak, Rakoyim, Amathayim, Akak, Arakawa, Ala, Lagarashim, Hashem, Shai,
Tawadaman. The English, Yahweh,
Yahweh,
name of Yahweh, please give us the power to heal, all manner of sickness, and all manner of disease, and for the cleanse the lepers, for the raise the dead, for get some clean spirits, cast them out, in the name of Yahweh. Thank you, so be it.
Bless Israel, Yahweh,
Hashem,
Yahweh Shai,
Barakana, Rabiyah,
Sapari,
Barak,
Rapa,
Magan,
Hashem,
Yahweh Shai, Tawadaman. In the English, Yahweh, in the name of Yahweh, bless us, and Israel, and the school, bless, heal, shield, protect our loved ones, in the name of Yahweh. Thank you, so be it.
This is Psalm 121 in Hebrew. Asha,
Yanya,
Ma'ayan,
Mayan,
Laba'a, Azariah,
Ayam,
Yahweh, Aisha, Ayam, Rarat, Ayatan, Lamawat, Galka, Ayanawan, Shamaka, Ana, La'a, Yanawan, Wara'a, Elishan, Shalama, Yasha'al, Hawa, Shamaka, Hawa, Tazal, Aliyah, Yanka, Yawamam, Ashamash, La'a, Yakaka, Ayara, Alayala, Yahweh, Shamaka, Akalawa, Yashama, Atana Shpuka, Yahweh, Yashama, Tazahatka, Wakawaka, Maita, Wa'id, Aiwala.
Psalms 121 in the English. I will lift up my eyes
to the hills,
from when cometh my help,
my help,
cometh from the Most High. Which made heaven and earth. He will not suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee, behold, he that keepeth Israel, shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Most High thy keeper, the Most High thy shade. The sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Most High shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. The Most High shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth, and even forevermore.
Psalm 83 in Hebrew. Alahayim, Adam Yalaka, Al Takarash, Al Tashakwash, Al Kayakana, Wayabuka, Hamayawan, Ra'ash, Al Amaka, the Irawa, Sawada, Wayatha, the Aitazawa, Aitazamuwanka, Amarwa, Lakawa, Wanakadam, Magawi, Wala'a, Yazaka, Shamia Sha'ala, Aiwada, Kaya, Waitazawa, Laba, Lakawa, Aileka, Baria, Yakarathwa, Alahali, Adawam, Wayashima Aliyam, our Abba, Amarayim, Ba, Aimuwan, Aimala, Alasha, Alashabia, as a war, Yam Ashawa, Alawa, Aimam, Ayawa, Zarawai, Labanya, Lawat, Salah, Aishalaham, Hamadia, Kasaya, Sarah, Yabia, Malaka, Yashua, Ashamaru, Ayan, Ira, Ayawa, Daman, Ada, Shayatamu, Nadaya Bawa, Kaira, Wakazaba, Wakata Zamunai, Karan Sekamu, Asha, Amara, Ayarasha, Anawa, Ata, Nawa, Alahaya, Shayatamu, Galgala, Kakwash, Lapanya, Awaka, Kaash, Ira, Wakalabaha, Talahat, Hariyan, Khan, Tarapadma, Masaraika, Obasa, Opaska, Tamahala, Mala'a, Panyaham, Palawan, Waya, Akwashwa, Shamka, Yahawa, Yabashwa, Waya, Mahalo, Waya Kaparo, Waya Abado, Waya Daiwa,
Psalms 83, the English. Keep not thou silence, O Most High, hold of thy peace, and be not still, O Most High, although thine enemies make it tumult, and they that hate thee, and lift up the head, that they can crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, Come, and let us cut them off from being a nation. In the name of Israel, we no more remember, for they have consulted together, one consent, they have conferred against the tabernacles of Edom, and the Ishmaelites, Moab, the Hagarenes, the Baal, and Ammon, the Philistines, with the inhabitants of Tyre, Asur also is joined with them, the children of Lot, Salah, do unto them, and unto the Midianites, and Syria, and to Jabin, and the book of Kisson, Shurs and Endor, and they became as done for the earth. Make the nobles, like Orod, yea, all the princes, Zab, Zanun, said, let us take to ourselves the house of the Most High possession, whom I power, make them like a wheel, as a fire burnt to wood, as a flame set to the mountain on fire. So persecute them with thy tempest, and make them afraid with thy storm. Fill their faces with shame, that they may seek thy name. O Most High, let them be confounded and troubled forever. Yea, let them be put to shame and perish, that men may know that thou, whose name alone is Yahweh, and the Most High of all the earth.
So, you shall be which means to be seated. I will continue in the book of Leviticus, chapter 16, and verse 29. The book of Leviticus, chapter 16, and verse 29. Wayafta lakam lakatha I will learn bakadash ashabaya aya ba'aishawa lakadash ta'ai nawa ata the pasha tayakam wakal malaka ta'aishawa ha'azakra wahaga haga bath wakakam. Verse 30. Kaya bayawam azaha yakapa ailakam lataha atakam makal kata atayakam lapanya Yahweh tatahara salakia tataharo. Verse 31. Shabbat 1. Haya lakam wa aina yatham ata napasha tayakam kakwat Iwalam. Verse 32. Wakapa akahan ashar yamashak atawa wa ashar yamalak ata yadawa lakahan takat abayawa walabash ata Bagadiah, Habadah, Bagadiah, Hakodash. Verse 33. Wakapa, Atha, Makodash, Hakodash, Wa'atha, Ahal, Wa'aida, Wa'atha, Hamazabak, Yakapa, Wa'aila, Hakahanyam, Wa'aila, Ka, Aima, Aquahal, Aquahal, Yakapa, verse 34. Wahaya, Za'ata, Lakam, Lakata, Iwalam, Lakapa, Ila, Banya, Yashu'ala, Makal, Kata'ama, Salakia, Kata, Atam, Aka, Bashan, Waya Aisha, Ka'asha, Tazawa, Yahawa, Atha, Masha. In the book of Leviticus, chapter 17 and verse 1, Wayadabai, Yahawa, Allah, Masha, La'amma.
We're going to read from the book of Leviticus, chapter 16 and verse 29. Right? And this shall be a statute forever unto you, that in the 7th month, on the 10th day of the month, ye shall afflict your souls, and do no work at all, whether it be one of your own country, or a stranger that sojourneth among you. For on that day the priest shall make an atonement for you, to cleanse you, that ye may be cleansed from all your sins before the Most High. It shall be a Sabbath of rest unto you, and ye shall afflict your souls by a statute forever. Verse 32. And the priest whom he shall anoint, and whom he shall consecrate to minister in the priest's office in his father's stead, shall make the atonement, and shall put on the linen clothes, even the holy garments, and he shall make an atonement for the holy sanctuary, and he shall make an atonement for the tabernacle of the congregation, and for the altar, and he shall make an atonement for the priests, and for all the people of the congregation. Verse 34. And this shall be an everlasting statute unto you, to make an atonement for the children of Israel for all their sins once a year. And he did as the Most High commanded Moses. Verse 17. And the Most High spake unto Moses, saying,
Mr. Christ, again, if I may say, this is just, really going in a lot more in depth into, how the priests used to conduct not just the services, but how they used to guide the children of Israel in terms of understanding of why we do certain things. And that is the purpose of, these records, for us to remember, these time, especially when you have the Day of Atonement, where they show where you afflict your soul, you understand, for what you have done all this time, all these years you're doing all this this sin, right? But this was a way that the Most High would cleanse the nation of Israel. That Day of Atonement, they would have what we call a scapegoat. That goat would the priest would pray, that goat would go out, and they would release that goat, right, which would be like an atonement for the sins, right? And it's just really showing how the priests supposed to conduct themselves during that time, and how a priest would be able to take up the mantle from his father if for any reason he was unable to get it done. So I need to add anything.
And And you know, this again is very important as well, because you know, whilst you know we continue to read from you know the law, as we just make mention that was written at the time of Moses, and where King Yahushua continued on and to really bring the full understanding of what this really is.
Right.
And you know, when you read, you know, just you know, to do a little backdrop from when I was reading out from verse 1, why it was so important and understanding what the atonement really was, and then Christ come and really break it down that this wasn't really about sacrifice of goats and the sacrifice of bulls, these animal sacrifices, because you know it make mention in verse 16 and 1, and the Most High spake unto Moses after the death of the two sons of Aaron, when they offered before the Lord and they died. So it showed you that they committed an act or a sin before the Most High, which they wasn't supposed to do. And because of that, they face the consequences. And this is why now what we're reading about now is about the Day of Atonement, and you see, as we make mention of it do it yearly. So what we're reading about here now in the book of Leviticus now is just, you know, they're doing that ritual of an act, because now we can go to the book of Hebrews, and we can go into Hebrews 9, going straight down to Hebrews 10, you know, as we say, you can do a reading, because, you know, we will just touch on, let me go to Hebrews 9. 9 and we will read from it. So we will just get a full understanding what this really atonement, because some people will read this and they will feel like you can sacrifice bulls still, you could sacrifice lamb still, you know, for your atonement, but it give a explanation on, you know, that time was a demonstration of this time to come, that a man's sacrifice will be own, meaning to say that he will put away all, you know, his lustful desire, as you say, you know, making who's the daughters of Zion, smoking, we leave that fight.
That's right.
Right?
The book of Hebrews, chapter 9 and verse 11. But Christ, being come as an high priest of good things to come.
Of what?
Of good things to come.
Right, go ahead.
By a greater and more perfect tabernacle, made with not made with hands.
Right, so it's showing you that these things would not be made with hands. These things now, it's not like, as I say, you're going before the altar, as we now read, and you know the priest making that sacrifice. Now that sacrifice was so we could explain now Aaron making that sacrifice himself, meaning to say that to shed himself from all he desires, all he thinking about. Go ahead.
Okay. Not made with hands, that is to say, not of this building.
Right.
Neither by the blood of goats and calves, but by his own blood.
Right.
He entered in once into the holy place.
Right, and this is the example that we following after. We following after the example that our King laid down, and he break it down, and he brought this, you know, to the forefront of the minds of blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, that they could get the full understanding of what, you know, that atonement is, of what, you know, making that shedding yourself once a year. Go ahead.
Verse 12. Neither by the blood of goats and calves, but by his own blood he entered in once into the holy place, having obtained eternal redemption for us. Verse 13. For if the blood of bulls and of goats and the ashes of an heifer sprinkling the unclean, sanctifieth to the purifying of the flesh, how much more shall the blood of Christ, who through the eternal Spirit offered himself without spot to God.
And it explained it through eternal Spirit. So it's showing now that vibe, that we must be able to have that spirit at the Most High. This was the example led by our King Yahushua. Go ahead.
Purge your conscience.
Purge what?
Your conscience.
So you see what you're doing? Now you're renewing your mind. You're setting apart all your lustful desires from what you was following. You know, as you say, you might commit this act, but now your sacrifice is yourself. By you stop committing that act. Go ahead.
Okay. Purge your conscience from dead works to serve the living God.
Right, go ahead.
Verse 15. And for this cause, he is the mediator of the New Testament, that by means of death, for the redemption of the transgressions that were under the first testament.
Right, and we know it's the first testament. This was, given, as you say, in the time of Moses. So now we break it down and giving the example and bringing the understanding of what really the atonement is. Go ahead.
They that which are called might receive the promise of eternal inheritance.
Right, and as I say, we could go on and you could read on more, because again, this is just a little backdrop on understanding, what we're reading about here in the book of Leviticus concerning the atonement. And from time to time as we go on, we will give a more in-depth explanation concerning these feast days. So it's not just like reading from the book of Leviticus and people feel that they could still do animal sacrificing, and people feel that they could still do this, but not knowing that as the scripture make, there was a greater sacrifice. And that greater sacrifice was the Son.
So you continue reading in the book of Leviticus chapter 17 and verse 2. The Ba, Allah, Aharon, wa Allah, Banyawa, wa Allah, Ka, Banya, Yasha'ala, wa Amar, Raf, ala Yakam, Asalaki, Alahaya, Zaha, Hadaba, Asha, Wataza, Yahweh, La'amah, verse 3. Ayash, Ma'ayaf, Salakia, Mabayaf, Yasha'ala, Ashar, Yashakat, Shawor, Awa, Kashad, Awa, Aizah, Bamakan, Awa, Ashar, Yashakat, Makawa, Tazala, Waya, Salakia, Makawa, Tazala, Maka, verse 4. Wa'ala, Pathka, Ahal, Mawa'ida, La'a, Habaya, Awa, Lahakwa, Rayaba, Paraban, La Yahweh, Lapanya, Masakan, Yahweh, Dam, Yakashab, La Ayash, Hawa, Dam, Shapak, Wanakaraf, Ayash, Salakia, Hawa, Makorab, Aimawa, verse 5. Lama Aina, Asha, Yabaya Awa, Banya, Yashar Ata, Zabak Yaham, Asha, Ham, Zabakyam, I, Panya, Ha Shada, Wahabaya Ama, La Yahweh, Allah, Pathka, Ahal, Akahan, Wazabakwa, Zabakaya, Shalashim, La Yahweh, Awath, Awatham, verse 6. Was a Raf, Salakia, was a Rakwa, Hakahan, Hatta, Haddam, Ailah, Mazabak, Yahweh, Patka, Ahal, Mawaida, Awakwa Taya, Haka, Hakalab, Laraya, Nayakaka, Layahawa, verse 7. Wala'a, Yaza Bakwa, Iwada, Ata, Zabak Yaham, Lasha'ai Yaram, Asha, Ham, Zanayam, Aka Rayaham, Kakwa, Iwalam, Thahaya, Za'atha, Laham, Ladaratham. That's it.
Book of Leviticus, chapter 17, and verse 2. Speak unto Aaron and unto his sons, and unto all the children of Israel, and say unto them, This is the thing which the Most High hath commanded, saying, What man soever that be of the house of Israel that killeth an ox, or lamb, or goat in the camp, or killeth it out of the camp, and bringeth it not unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation to offer an offering unto the Most High before the tabernacle of the Most High, blood shall be imputed unto that man. He hath shed blood, and that man shall be cut off from among his people, to the end that the children of Israel may bring their sacrifices which they offer in the open field, even that they may bring unto them, unto the Most High, unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, unto the priest, and offer them for peace offerings unto the Most High. Verse 6. And the priest shall sprinkle the blood upon the altar of the Most High at the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and burn the fat for a sweet savor unto the Most High. And they shall no more offer sacrifices unto devils, after whom they have gone a whoring. This shall be a statute forever unto them throughout their generations. And thou shalt say unto them, Whatsoever man there be of the house of Israel, or of the strangers which sojourneth among you, that offer a burnt offering of sacrifice or sacrifice.
All right. Again, once again, the Most High is so righteous that, he really put things in place that is very simple, very straightforward. You understand that we as a people will keep our integrity. You understand? And, it's really showing you that any man that does not keep his integrity will face that judgment. You understand? And it's showing you one of the punishments that the ox or goat, whoever it is that you were supposed to kill to bring to the temple, and the so-called decide to play smart, as we would say. You understand? That blood would be on that man.
That's right.
You understand? If you're adding things.
Again, just one point, as they say, your way are trying to be, or as we say, trying to outsmart, the Most High power. Again, it had the examples, record, and this is what we're reading out, right? And there's laws that is set, for the remembrance, of blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. So as we make mention, the children of the nation and Israel.
And so, like I said, one thing again, verse 8 says, and thou shalt say unto them, right? Talking about, what the children really used to do before. Second verse 7, and they shall no more offer their sacrifices unto devils, right? After whom they have gone a whoring. This shall be a statute forever unto them throughout their generations. And again, it's talking about the children of Israel. Verse 8 says, and thou shalt say unto them, whatsoever man there be of the house of Israel, or of the strangers which sojourn among you, that offereth a burnt offering or sacrifices, right? And we'll see how we continue to verse 9. But it really showing you that the stranger here is not what we think it is.
That's right.
You understand? And as we go in more into the scriptures, you'll get an understanding a bit more.
That's right.
Because a lot of Christians that they use this now to try to engrap everybody. You understand? But this is not about everybody. Right? So we'll continue in the book of Leviticus chapter 17 and verse. We continue to verse 9. Wa Allah Paska Ahala Saklakia Ahal Mawa Aida La Yabaya Anawa La Aishawa Atawa La Yahawa Wanakara Ayash Ahawa Ma'aimaya Yawa. Verse 10. Wa Ayash Mabayaf Yasha'ala Waman Bathwakam Ya'akal Kal Dam Wanathaya Panya Banayash Salakia Banapash Ha'akal Salakia Hakahala Hata Hadam Wahaka Rathaya Ata Makwaba Salakia Makwarab Aima. Verse 11. Kaya Napash Bashar Badam Hawa'a Wanaya Nathan Tayawa Lakam Aya Hamazabak Lakapa Aya Napashaya Salakia Napashah Yakam Kaya Adam Hawa'a Banapash Yakapa. Verse 12. Kana Amarathia La Banya Yasha'ala Kal Napash Makam La'a Ta'akal Dam Haga Bathwakakam La'a Ya'akal Dam. Verse 13. Wa Ayash Mabanya Yasha'ala Waman Haga Bathwakam Asha Yatazawa Salakia Yatazawad Tazay Qiyaha Awa Iwa Asha Ya'akal Washapak Ata Damawa Salakia Wakasawa Ba'aipa. Verse 14. Kaya Napash Kal Bashar the Banapashawa Hawa'a Wa'ama Lapanya Yasha'ala Dam Kal Bashar La'a Ta'akalwa Kaya Napash Kal Bashar Damawa Hawa'a Kal Akaliyawa Yakaraf. Verse 15. Wakal Napash Asha Ta'akal, Nabala, Watarak, Ba'azarak, Wa'agar, Wakabash, Bagadayawa, Warakataza, Bamayam, Watama, Aida, Aira, Wataha. That's it.
Book of Leviticus, chapter 17, and verse 9. And bringeth it unto the door of the tabernacle congregation to offer it unto the Most High, even that man shall be cut off from among his people. And whatsoever man there be a house of Israel, or of the stranger that sojourneth among you, that eateth any manner of blood, I will even set my face against that soul that eateth blood, and will cut him off from among his people. For the life of the flesh is in the blood, and I have given it upon you, Salakia, and I have given it to you upon the altar to make an atonement for your souls. For it is the blood that maketh that, Salakia, for it is the blood that maketh an atonement for the soul. Therefore I said unto the children of Israel, no soul of you shall eat blood, neither shall any stranger that sojourneth among you eat blood. And whatsoever man there be of the children of Israel, or of the strangers that sojourneth among you, which hunteth and catcheth any beast or fowl that may be eaten, he shall even pour out the blood thereof, and cover it with dust. For it is the life of all flesh. The blood of it is for life. Therefore I said unto the children of Israel, ye shall eat the blood of no man, neither of flesh. For the life of all flesh is the blood thereof. Whatsoever eateth it shall be cut off. Verse. And every soul that eateth that which died of itself, or that which was torn with beasts, whether it be one of your own country, or a stranger, he shall both wash his clothes and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until even. Then shall he be clean.
Again, we're seeing where the whole idea, some people think that the stranger is some other race of people, but the stranger just really talking about a man who is not your neighbor. When I say neighbor, for instance, the nation of Israel was a huge nation, was 12 tribes, and these 12 tribes were living in different parts of that whole area where they were living. And a stranger would be a man, I would say, who was a Reubenite, who was living in the area where Reuben was, and he come to the area and living where the tribe of Judah was. That man was a stranger to you, because why? Although he is your brother, although he's an Israelite, but he is a stranger to you because you may not have known him personally. You understand? He is not a Judite. He's a Reubenite. He's from a different tribe. So he would be considered a so-called stranger to you as well. And all of us cannot, explain properly in verse 15, which says, and every soul that eateth that which dieth of itself, or that which was torn by beasts, whether it be one of your own country. So it was being specific to show you that this is talking about your people who in your neighborhood, who you grew up with, your tribesmen. Whether it be of your country, right? Or a stranger, he shall be both wash his hands, so like you wash his clothes, right? And bathe, right? Because but this didn't apply to the heathen. And the straight reason for that is because there is scripture that shows that if anything die of itself, that you can give it to the stranger. So there's two different strangers there. And this stranger here talking about the man who is your kin, the one who is your brother, because he's an Israelite. We are not supposed to eat anything that died of itself or eat blood. But we can give or sell a heathen, which is the other context of a stranger. We can sell them something that died of itself. I don't know if you want to add anything.
And just export concerning with the blood. Now, as they say, all the blood eaters, you like your food, as they say, you done unlawful already. All type of, let me say, blood, making mention here that you're not supposed to eat it. And it make a clear distinction because now the scriptures let you know that this is where life is really in. And it went on to explain it more as in verse 11. For the life of the flesh is in the blood.
That's right.
This is how all flesh, function. I would say maneuver through this earth. All living thing as we make mention. And this is why now it even went on to say, I have given it, to you upon the altar. Because now this is again where our king, made that sacrifice. And that sacrifice is a man, shedding himself, because as he say, which man will go lay down in life for you, brother? And that means to say which one are you go stand up and take that debt. Because now we not blood we not share.
That's right.
That is why you make mention of that. And it says to make an atonement for your souls. For it is the blood that make it an atonement for your souls. So that is the sacrifice. By a man making that sacrifice. Right?
That's right. I continue reading the book of Leviticus chapter 17 and verse 16. Wa amma la'a yakabas wa basha rawa salakia wa basaro la'a yarakataza wa nasha iwana salakia iwanawa. This is the book of Leviticus chapter 18 and verse 1. Wayadaba Yahweh Allah Masha la Amma. Verse 2. Daba la Banya Yasha'ala wa Amara Alaham. Anaya Yahweh Alayakam. Alahayakam. Verse 3. Kama Aisha Aratazar Matazarayam Asha Yashabath Yashabatham Baha La'a Aishawa Wakama Aisha Aratazar Kana'aina Asha Anaya Mabaya Atakam Shama La'a Ta'aishawa Wabaka Kota Yaham La'a Talakamwa. Verse 4. Ata Mashapa Taya Ta'aishawa Wa Ata Kakwa Taya Tashama Rawa Lalakath Baham Anaya Yahweh Ala Ha Yakam. Verse 5. Washamaratham Ata Kakwataya Wa Ata Mashapataya Asha Yakwasha Atam Adam Ha-Adam Wakaya Baham Anaya Yahweh was 6. Ayash La'ar Sha'ara Basara La'ar Thakora Baywa Lagalawa Irawa Anaya Yahweh. That's it.
Book of Leviticus, chapter 17 and verse 16. But if he wash them not, nor bathe his flesh, then he shall bear his iniquity. The book of Leviticus, chapter 18 and verse 1. Then the Most High spake unto Moses, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, I am the Most High, your power. After the doings of the land of Egypt, wherein ye dwelt, ye shall not do. And after the doings of the land of Canaan, whither I bring you, shall ye not do, neither shall you walk in their ordinances. Ye shall do my judgments and keep mine ordinances to walk therein. I am the Most High, your power. Ye shall therefore keep my statutes and my judgments, which if a man do, he shall live in them. I am the Most High. Verse 6. None of you shall approach to any that is near of kin to him to uncover their nakedness. I am the Most High.
All right, so okay. I mean, you see, this is heavy in the aspect of the Most High laying down in every intricate part of our lives. It's clear cut. There's no room for error. You have no excuse. You understand? And it is being laid down so simple and so easy, and you can still get a breakdown on it.
That's right.
You understand? And just jump back on 17 and 16. You know, it really talk about if a man don't want to do these things, you understand, his iniquity will be on him. And a lot of people don't understand when the Most High laid out all these laws of cleanliness and how to deal when you come in contact with things and not drink blood and eat this type of flesh. This was protecting the nation of Israel. And when you look at it, that was just pure science that the Most High laid down for the nation of Israel. You understand? And even now, and just imagine, we have so much sophistication in terms of science today. And this was from way back that the Most High is showing us this so-called science. You understand? That the world so-called now catching on. You understand? But this was quarantine measures. This was cleanliness laws. Everything that they're telling us to do now today is the exact same thing that they tell us to do. We're not supposed to be eating blood. Science tells us that. We're not supposed to mix with certain things that are dead, because why? When an animal dies of itself, the decaying process immediately starts. And there's a lot of bacteria and germs and viruses that are in different types of animals after they die. If we consume them, or if we come in contact with them, there are certain diseases you will get. And in verse 16, we talk about if a man don't want to bathe, he don't want to wash his clothes after he interfere with these things, he will face what? Iniquity. The Most High will be against him. And how he will be against him? What? He will get diseases. You understand? So that iniquity, whatever sickness you get because you don't want to follow these laws, that is on you. You understand? That what the Most High laying you straight. He given you opportunity for life. Just be. Follow this. You will receive life. And if you don't do it, you will bear what the iniquity, the sin of not following the Most High's law. Right? So I feel that.
Yeah, and right on that same point we're on the and really and truly again I need to go a little more in depth on it. Now it's showing to see the spirit behind this.
That's right.
Now it really explaining what our King Yahushua or Christ with the world, Jesus Christ with the world know, really come and explain. Now you bearing that on your own. Because now I get a full breakdown as you make mention of the science or what could happen behind it by you not following this will be on your own. So now the sacrifice is you. That why you know as you know, generals them continue to break down, continue to say that out. None of the laws are done away with. The sacrifice in an animal done away with, but our King Yahweh raise it. So now that sacrifice is you. So as you say, no more we doing this, but that law still stand. That sacrificial law still stand. Just we not sacrificing animal.
That's right.
You is the ultimate sacrifice. And it show here in verse 16 that you is the ultimate sacrifice. Because now you're bearing your own unrighteousness. Right. You're bearing your own sin. Because you not following to the procedure or as you say, the laws laid down, you know, by the Most High. Right? And right. You know, as I say, as we go into verse 18 now, and now it's going more into depth now, because now we're going to go into something that, you know, to bring an example right. of what, you know, that made we to really error, because now we customs, and that's who right. We adopt them customs from, not from ourselves, but from whom? From these other nations. Right. And because adopting these customs from these other nations, the Most High lay down clear now, and as I say, he always, you know, leave that reminder, and always leave, you know, that guideline that we should, you know, find the way back. And, you know, by setting righteous men or putting men in place to really guide us back to that footpath, to understanding, you know, what we're really supposed to be walking after, what we're supposed to be following, and as you say, not, you know, being stubborn and rebellious and falling to unrighteousness, right? Or to sin.
That's right. Mr. Christ. So we continue reading in the book of Leviticus, chapter 18 and verse 7. Arawaf, Abiyaka, wa I Rawaf, Amaka, La'a, Tagala, Amaka, Hawa'a, La, was 8. Ashaf, Abayaka, La'a, Tagala, wa I Salaki, Irawaf, Abayaka, Hawa'a, was 9. Irawaf, Akawa, Aka, Wataka, Baf, Abayaka, Awa, Baf, Amaka, Mawalada, Bayaf, Awa, Mawalada, Kawataza, La'a, Tagala, Irawathan, verse 10. Irawaf, Baf, Banaka, Awa, Baf, Bafka, La'a, Tagala, Irawathan, Kaya, Irawathan Ka, Hanaha, verse 11. Irawaf, Baf, Ashaf, Abayaka, Mawalada, Abayaka, Akawaka, Hakawa, Salakia, Hawa'a, La'a, Tagala, Irawaf, verse 12. Irawaf, Akawa, Abayaka, La'a, Tagalaha, Asha, Abayaka, Hawa'a, verse 13. Irawaf, Akawaf, Amaka, La'a, Tagalaha, Kaya, Asha, Amaka, Hawa'a.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 18 and verse 7. The nakedness of thy father, or the nakedness of thy mother, thou shalt not uncover. She is thy mother, thou shalt not uncover her nakedness. The nakedness of thy father's wife shalt thou not uncover. It is thy father's nakedness. Verse 9. The nakedness of thy sister, the daughter of thy father, the daughter of thy mother, which she be born at home, or born abroad, even their nakedness thou shalt not uncover. The nakedness of thy son's daughter, or the nakedness, or thy daughter's daughter, even their nakedness thou shalt not uncover, for theirs is thine own nakedness. Verse 11. The nakedness of thy father's wife, daughter, begotten of thy father, she is thy sister, and thou shalt not uncover her nakedness, not uncover the nakedness of thy father. She is thy father's near kinswoman. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy mother's sister, for she is thy mother's near kinswoman.
So again, this is more real and strict laws, right? These are laws we're supposed to keep. Because again, I would say the most, if a lot of people grasp and understand that the Most High is really the Most High power. Because again, even science will show you so-called that they use today, and this was done millennia ago with the nation of Israel, thousands and thousands of years ago. These were laws given to us that no other nation had, because all the nations were doing the opposite to what the Most High laid down for us here. So the Most High basically laid down who you can have sexual relations with and who you're not supposed to have relations with. Where we talk about they're not supposed to uncover their nakedness. And that nakedness is about, that secret part, that secret area, which was talking about sex. So there are some people who you're not supposed to have sex with. You're not supposed to have sex with your aunt. You're not supposed to have sex with your uncle. You're not supposed to have sex with your brother, your sister, and those who are so-called near kin, right? Those near kin would be those of your immediate circle of family. You understand? So you're not supposed to have sex with your niece, right? That's your brother child. You're not supposed to have sex with your father's children, which would be your brother and sister. Or if you have children with another woman, you're not supposed to have sex with her. Or your mother's niece, mother's sister, your aunt, and all these. We know how it is. We are not supposed to have any relation with any of our close kin. That's what we call a close kin or close family. You understand? And these are things that was there. And the reason for that, even now with science, now understanding, is what we call incest. And we all know the product of incest is that genetically, the genes start to become inferior, and they start to get deformities, and they start to get all these other attributes that are not what the Most High want. Because the Most High wants what? A perfect people. He want no man twist because he's sleep with his sister and that child. We all animals. You understand? But even animals are designed different. But still, even though when you're breeding animals, we know you don't breed father and daughter or mother and son. Even animals, we know that. You understand? For those who are into animal husbandry and stuff like that, those who are breeding dogs, they know they don't breed the same close relative, because why? Those offsprings will be what deformed and have sickness. So if you add anything,
and again, just I don't know what say, and it is a clear reminder, because now that kind of, as you say, and mongoloid behavior.
That's right.
That you see that barbaric behavior, that's why you lay down from in the earlies and tell them, hey, when I bring you into this land, you see all them thing with them heathen, or you see them African was doing, or them white people, I just say, but we was in Egypt, them African was doing, don't bring that here. Don't bring that here. Don't bring that custom here. And we know that these things are still practiced today
very much
by these heathens and them. And this is why now he brought the reminder to us. And this is why now, as you see, that we separate us. And again, as the general went in depth breakdown again in Genesis, and he showed you that mindset when in creation from the beginning in Genesis, where as we say, we were just like sucking on everything, and then now given that intelligence, and this one person now sharing it now, that that hey, everybody is supposed to walk after, but we know that again, that's why I say I think is he had not given these laws to any other.
That's right.
But he given it unto us, because that's why now, in order for this place to really come back to normalcy, the righteous must be in authority.
That's right.
And it have normalcy, because why? It was there from the beginning.
That's right.
It had order. It was there from the beginning.
Yep.
And because now again, why we're reading out of this is because why? Because we lost that sense of normalcy. We lost that sense of order. And this is why we must come back.
That's right.
And get back this understanding. Again, only place to get this is in the I.S.U.P.K under command in general.
That's right. And so like I just want to just piggyback on one more thing again. It's not just about your near kin, because there are some intricate parts a lot of people do take into account. You're not supposed to go behind your brother's wife. You understand? You're uncovering your brother's nakedness. I want to say uncover your nakedness. That's his work. That's his property. So you're not supposed to go behind your brother's wife, right? And as how it is known today, marriage is not ring on finger. Once a man has had sex with that woman belongs to that man. So you're not supposed to have sex with your brother's wife, right? You're uncovering his nakedness, right? You're not supposed to sleep with your father or your mother. You understand? Because some people, quote unquote, so make children young, right? And sometimes when your child is 15, 16, 17, you just in your 30s. You understand? So some persons grow up, so-called with your children almost looking the same. So you're not supposed to do that, right? You're not supposed to go behind your father's wife. So if your father has another wife, right, besides your mother, you're not supposed to uncover the nakedness of that woman either. That's your father's nakedness, right? Just for you to get an understanding. You're not supposed to go behind another son or daughter from another marriage of your father. So, because she would be a sister, right? Or your brother in that case, in the opposite way, right? The nakedness of thy son's daughter, which is really a niece, right? Or his son, which is his nephew, right? The nakedness of thy father's wife, daughter, right? Is a niece. So they're making sure it's clear on both sides, whether it's for the male or for the female, right? Thou shalt not uncover, right? So, right, thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy father's sister, right? She's thy father's near kinswoman, so that's your aunt. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy mother's sister, right? That's same. So auntie on both sides, you can't do that, right? Verse 14 says, thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy father's brother. We're talking about that, right? That is also your aunt, so don't be like his wife. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy daughter-in-law. She is thy son's wife, and you will uncover your son's nakedness. You understand? So all these are rules and laws. And all this, what all this is doing at the end of the day is what? Keeping and maintaining the brotherhood among the nation of Israel. These laws are not just laws just for anything, just for the Lord's sake. This is to keep what? Brotherhood and sisterhood in the nation of Israel, where there is no rules. You cannot have proper brotherhood or sisterhood. And these are the rules that were laid down, because a man will be offended if you come near. And we see it all among the heathens, what has happened when they do these kind of things and what happened to them. And so I just want to bring that point. All right, so you continue reading in the book Leviticus chapter 18 and verse 16. Verse 16. Irawaf, Ashar, Akayaka, La'a, Tagala, Irawaf, Akayaka, Hawa'a, verse 17. Irawaf, Ashar, Wabatha, La'a, Tagala, Ata, Baf, Banaha, Wa'ata, Baf, Batha, La'a, Nakwaka, Lagalawa, Arawaf, Sha'ara, Hanaha, Zamaha, Hawa'a, verse 18. Wa'asha, Allah, Akaf, La'a, Takwaka, Latazara, Lagawaf, Irawaf, Ilaya, Bakaya, verse 19. Wa'ala, Asha, Anadaf, Tama'ath, La'a, Thakurab, Lawa, Irawaf, verse 20. Wa'ala, Asha, Imayatka, La'a, Tatan, Shaka Bathka, Lazarai, Latama'a, Baha, verse 21. Wamazara Aika, La'a, Tan, Laha'aiba Ya, Lamalak, Wala'a, Takala, Ata, Sham, Alahayaka, Anaya, Yahweh. Verse 22. Wa'ata, Zakah, La'a, Feshakab, Mashakab Baya, Asha, Hawa'aiba, Hawa'a.
The book of Leviticus, chapter 18 and verse 15. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy daughter-in-law. She is thy son's wife. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness, her nakedness. Verse 16. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy brother's wife. It is thy brother's nakedness. Verse 17. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of a woman and her daughter, neither shalt thou take her son's daughter or her daughter's daughter to uncover her nakedness, for they are her near kinswoman. It is a wickedness.
That's right.
Verse 18. Neither shalt thou take a wife to a sister to uncover her nakedness beside the other in her lifetime. Also, thou shalt not approach unto a woman to uncover nakedness as long as she put apart for her uncleanness. Verse 20. Moreover, thou shalt not lie carnally with thy neighbor's wife to defile thyself. Verse 21. And thou shalt not let any of thy seed pass through the fire to Molech, neither to profane the name of the Most High. Of thy power, I am the Most High.
Most High in Christ. Again, everything that is being laid down here is all about brother. Right? This is what it is about. They're really dealing with whatever issues, right? Or to prevent issues from coming up. As it says, thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of thy brother's wife, do sleep with your brother's wife. Plain and simple. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of a woman and her daughter. So let's say you get a wife, you understand, and she also has a young daughter. You understand? Do go behind the woman and she daughter. And that is something that is very prevalent most times in the Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian community, where this woman become a man, and next thing you know, the man sleeping with she and the daughter. That is wickedness. You understand? All right? And the scriptures plainly says it. Thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of a woman and her daughter. You understand? Neither shalt thou take her son's daughter, right? Or her daughter's daughter to uncover her nakedness, for they are her near kin's women. It is wickedness. Because that is something that a lot of women cannot deal with. Right? And we see it time and time again where women not just only blame themselves or blame the man, they would blame the child. Plenty times we see a man, I used to pick up with a woman, they start to deal together. The woman have a young 16, 17, 18-year-old daughter, you understand? And the young woman start coming to age. And that man saying that, yo, I could eat a food here, as we say, and I could eat a food here.
Still falling out holy.
Yeah. You understand? And I try to make it modest, but that is wickedness. And we see the kind of destruction that causes. I don't know if I anything to I guess one more thing I want to bring out is just that we talk about not having a seed pass through the fire, and to Molech, and this was talking about us sacrificing our children to idols, right? And something that is tantamount to that is even now about having abortions, and basically killing our children in the eyes to serve another god, right? The sacrifice to Molech was a big thing back in the day. You understand, where you would sacrifice young babies, you understand, young children to this idol of called Molech, right? And talking about about profaning the Most High.
Yes, yes, that's what I just say. That's important as well, because now you're bringing to the Most High name to as we say, the scorn, as we say. So it is destroying your reputation, because now your reputation now is preserving these people, and preserving them to be that righteous, as we see, that his name or his legacy may carry on, and that now making, as you make mention, that sacrifice, as you say, sending your children, as you say, now the abortion clinic, you're profaning the name of the Most High.
That's
You're
right.
going to your reputation to
disrepute.
Wow.
Most High Christ will continue in the book of Leviticus chapter 18 and verse 23. 22. All right, verse 22. Okay. Wa'ata zakah la'a tashakab mashakabaya asha tawaiba ha asha salaka hawa'a. Verse 23. Wabakal bahama la'a tatan shakabathiaka La Tamaha Baha Tama La Panya Bahama Laraba'a Tabala Hawa'a La Allah Tama'awa Bakal La Ama Salakia Alaha Kaya Bakal Alaha Na Tama Salakia Na Tama'awa Hagawayam Asha Anaya Mashalak Mapanayakam, verse 25. Wata Tama Ha'arataza Wa Apakwad Iwana Ilayaha Wa Thakwa Ha'arataza Yashabaya, verse 26. Washa Maratham Atam Ata Kakwate Thaya Wa Ata Mashapa Taya Wala'a Ta Aishawa Maka Hatawa Aiba Hala'a Ha'azara Wahaga Hagar Bathwakakam, verse 27. Kaya Ata Ka Hatawa Aiba Ha'ala Aishawa Anashaya Ha'arataza Asha Lapanyakam Wa Atama Watama'a Ha'arataza.
Book of Leviticus, chapter 18 and verse 22. Thou shalt not lie with mankind, and with womankind. It is abomination. Neither thou lie with any beast to defile thyself therewith. Neither shall any woman stand before a beast to lie down thereto. It is confusion. Verse 24. Defile not yourselves in any of these things, or in all these nations are defiled, which I cast out before you. Verse 25. And the land defileth thereof, I do visit the iniquity upon it, and the land itself vomiteth out her inhabitants. Ye shall therefore keep my statutes and my judgments, and shall not commit any of these abominations, neither any of your own nations, nor any stranger that sojourneth among you. Verse 27. For all these abominations have the men of the land done, which were before you, and the land is defiled.
We have one more. Okay, 20. I think it was 20. Just one more.
Verse 28. That the land spew not you out, it spewed out the nations that will be.
I mean, you see here once more, this is one of the tenets, you understand, in the scripture. And this talking about, again, all this talking about relationships, or relationships that you're supposed to have and not supposed to have. And one of the main things that, you know, we have all the issues that you're talking about, you know, you're sleeping with your brother, sleeping with your sister, sleeping, all these are different things. But one of the main things that the world, especially now, fights for, right, is man lying with mankind as with womankind. That is And the Most High, all what was said before is extremely wrong. The Most High don't want you to do that. But he was specific to say, thou shalt not lie with mankind as with womankind. It is abomination. And it's something that is so detestable to the Most High that the Most High had to say, you know, this is above and beyond what, you know, I could tolerate. This is abomination. You don't tolerate the rest of them, but this is disgusting. You understand? We see even so much today where, you know, it's being pushed hard to Blacks and Native Indians, and of more recent we see about this what is that you saying, Old Town Road? I forget his name, but you know this young Judite who they using now as a prop, you know, for homosexuality to push it up on the black community. Little Nas X. You understand where they're using him now, you know, to push and promote homosexuality, as well as with others who like Queen Latifah and all these others who are in the so-called black community, and people so-called look up to them. So they use them to push this agenda to destabilize and destroy the Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian community. And if you're right,
Yeah, you know, I'm just as we make mention, because in verse 24, he said, defile not yourself in any of these, for in all these nations are defiled. So it shows you now where that custom come from. That's why you see at the beginning of the verse in the chapter, we tell you now, don't fall and show you all these nations, not some of them, but all these other nations. This is things that are practiced, right? And he say that how you know are defiled, which are cast out before you. So he show you know why he cast them out, why he bring them to the destruction.
That's right.
He didn't just bring them to the destruction because because he's the Most High. Because why? That they was doing the abominable things.
That's right.
Because as he say, because now it have righteousness, but now you performing these acts now it show you that really and truly in my formation and creation, these abominable things wasn't really practiced. But because now again I'm going to make an example before all this. So all you don't practice this because all it is going to be the example.
That's right.
As you say, you're going to be my reputation. Right? And he said that verse 25, and the land is defiled. Therefore I do visit the iniquity, therefore upon it. And the land itself vomited out. So it's showing now what taking place now. And using the example as vomit, as you say. You have an upset stomach, what happened? You must bring out what uncleanness you have in you. You must bring it out. How are you doing it? Like I vomited, but he's showing you, he vomited. He's showing you, he bringing them to the utter destruction. Right? And that way in verse 27, he say, for all these abominations have the men of the land done, which will before you. So he let you know, hey, this is the reason why he threw them out, because they was doing something that was not right in his sight. So this is an example for you to follow, right? So, and he said that verse 28, the land spew not, you also, so don't make this happen to you.
That's right.
Don't make this happen to you, because as I say, when you defile it, it spew out the nations that will go before you. And it show you now again, this is the reason why we were cast out of our own land. Because why? Because the acts we were committed.
That's right.
And it's going to read, as we say, this is why again, as you read before and you read concerning, as you say, and we will continue to read on through these records, the example that was laid down before us, that would, as you say, would set as you say, everything right.
That's right.
Right?
Understand Christ. I just want to go one more thing before we close off. Is something that we didn't speak about was verse 23 says, neither shalt thou lie with any beast to defile thyself therewith. Neither shall any woman stand before a beast to lie down thereof. It is confusion. And you could not put it better. It's really confusion. Things that are being practiced now, from bestiality to homosexuality. right? And the LGBTQ, XYZ, 1, 2, 3, all of them, that whole movement is to destabilize the family, you understand, structure, and targeting blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians to destroy them. Understand? These are things that we are not supposed to do. We are mandated, to keep the Most High's laws. And everything here is to what? To keep and to maintain brotherhood.
That's right.
And with that, it brings us to the end of the service, and we say, I imagine. SHALAM to Israel. Imagine upon your put down, lift the right hand face the east. So, you see, you was in Hebrew, Abanawa, Shemaiah, Kadash, ISUP.K, Yahweh, Malakot, TITHES, I.S.U.P.K, Barak, Kawa, Shemaiah, Tan, Anawa, Wakam, Ka, Wam, Wasalakno, Kawatno, Asalakno, Kawatino, Yanawa, Masaiwan, Bo, Washino, Yan, Ra, Ya, Waka, Amalak, Wa'ar, Tapara, I will love you.
In English, our Father,
Father,
in heaven, thy name, our kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day daily bread, forgive us our debts, forgive our debtors, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. So be it. We say, Hakaka the power, Hashem, Yahushua, until now. Israel, Aka, Lakoyam, Matiyam, Aka, Irakuwa, Amata'ala, Hashem, Yahushua, in English, Yahweh, the name of Yahushua, was the power to heal, a man of sickness, a man of disease, or to cleanse the leper, or to raise the dead, to go against unclean spirits, cast them out. In the name of Yahushua, thank you, so be it.
That's Israel, it's Yahweh, Hashem, Yahushua, Rakanawa, Shalom, Safaria, Rak, Hashem,
Yahushua, in the English, Yahweh, the name of Yahushua, bless us, and Israel, and the school, bless, heal, shield, protect our loved ones, in the name of Yahushua, thank you, so be it.
Someone to know in Hebrew, Asha'ah, Yanya, Ayam, Yahweh, Tizal, Ariyad, Yankam, Yamam, Shama, Lakaka, Wayara, Ariyad, Yahweh, Shema, Kara, Shema, Tana, Yahweh, Shema, Zahatka, Waka, Ayatha, Aywala.
Psalms 121 in English, I will lift up my eyes unto the hills, from whence come my help come from the Most High. which made heaven and earth, not for thy suffer thy foot to be moved. He that keepeth thee will not slumber. He that keepeth Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. The Most High thy keeper, the Most High thy shade. Upon thy right hand, the sun shall not smite thee by day, nor the moon by night. The Most High shall preserve thee from all evil. He shall preserve thy soul. The Most High shall preserve thy going out and thy coming in from this time forth, and even forevermore.
Psalm 83 in the Hebrew, Alahaya, and the Mayaka, Ayataka, Wal Shakwa, GEN.YAHANNA, I.S.U.P.K, Yahamayawan, Ash, I.S.U.K, I.W.A, Sawada, Wayata, I.S.U.P, I.S.U.P, Mara, Makau, Wanayakadan, Magawi, Wala'a, Azaka, Shamish Al, Wada, Aya, I.S.U.P, Yakaru, Yaka, Arya, Yakarathi, Alahaya, Adawam, Wayashamai Alayam, Mawa'aba, Agaraya, Yabal, Aimawan, Aimala, Aisha, Aishabi, as a war, Gab Ashabu, Nalawa, Aiman, Ayawa, Zarawai, Apanya Lawa, Salah, Aishalaham, Hamaya, Asayasara, Hayami, Banakal, Oyashma, Ashamaru, Oyandara, Hayawa, the man, Adam, Shayatam, Nada, Yakmawa, Shairab, Kazaba, Tadas and Mana, Tadas Yakam, Asha, Marwa, Ayarasha, Nanawa, Ta, Nahawa, Alahaya, Shayatam, Algala, Kakwash, Wakanya, Waraka, Kaash, Ira, Wakala Haba, Salaha, Arayam, Kantarapana, Masaraika, Musa, Pafka, Kabahal, Mala'a, Wayamukwashu, Shaka, Yahawa, Yabashu, Wayabahawa, Aya, Yakapara, Yakapadu, Yadaiwa, Yakapa, Shaka, Yahawa, Yabaka, Alawan, Alkaha,
Sarataza. Psalm 83 in English. Keep not our silence, Most High, hold thy peace, and be not still, Most High. Although thy enemies may get a mouth, they that hate thee have lifted up their head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, Come, let us cut them off from being a nation, and the name of Israel, if you no more remember. For they have consulted together with one consent. They have conferred against the tabernacles of Edom, and the Ishmaelites of Moab, and the Hagarenes, Jabal, and Ammon, and Amalek, the Philistines, the inhabitants of Tyre, also is joined with them. They are Pulpin, children of Lot, Salah, go unto them, to the Midianites, to the Syrians, to Jabin, the book of his son, which perished at Endor. They became as dung for the earth, make them nobles, like Oreb, and Zedek, yea, all the princes, and Sabbath, and Zalmunna, who said, let us take to ourselves the house of the Most High possession, with my power, make them like a wheel, as a sub before the wind, as a fire burning the wood, as a flame set the mountains on fire. So persecute them with thy tempest, make them afraid with thy storm, fill their faces with shame, that they may seek thy name. Most High, let them be confounded and troubled forever. Yea, let them be put to shame and perish, that men may know that thou, whose name alone is Yahweh, are the Most High over all the earth.
Men of Israel, let's give a courtesy salute. Amata Shabbat, Majum, Barak, Yahweh Hashem, Yahshua, Yahweh, Yahweh, class dismissed.